Everybody's ready. I want to call us to order at 7:06 for BUHS number 6 for the April 1st, 2019 meeting. And under Clerk's report, we have the approval of the minutes of March 18th. And again, I want to thank Katie for taking the minutes. Everybody got those? Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And everyone got those? Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And actually, Sean's not here, so we're going to need someone to take minutes tonight, I'm just realizing, because Sean's still not here. Katie, you willing to relive your glory day there?
I can do that.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you.
When's Sean coming back?
I believe Sean's back in town actually at some point tomorrow or Wednesday, but
Okay.
yeah, sorry. And we'll let him know he gets no more absences.
No more.
Excellent. All right. Does anybody have any communications to share with the board? Any board members have any communications to share tonight? All right. Seeing none, we're going to move on to recognition of groups and individual visitors, and we have none of those. So, is there a motion to enter consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All right. And all in favor? Aye. All right. So we'll start with finance, building, and transportation.
Finance just met, just adjourned a couple of minutes ago, and tonight's agenda was primarily, we did approve some warrants, and I don't have that list on here. You have them right there, but
I do.
and we also approved three payrolls. List wasn't in the minutes, I mean in the agenda.
On the agenda.
But we did approve these, and these are warrants number 1179 through 1190, and an amount of $445,316.64. These are warrants from March 18th. We also approved payroll from March 1, $514,651.27. March 15th, $517,235.38, and March 29, $447,284.90. Warrants and payrolls. The main topic tonight was a presentation from Stevens and Associates Engineering of an update of the valuation of the Tenny Field Grandstand, updating their previous evaluation from 2009. They took a pretty close look at the grandstand and what it would take to rehab it, get it going again. We agreed to continue to move forward. There are some questions that need to be answered. Stevens and Associates will still be involved. Some of them are regarding the permitting and the ADA compliance, and it's also been, it's a historic facility, so we have to keep those things in mind and see if we can find out what we would need to do to comply. So that is moving forward somewhat cautiously, but it was a good chance to really get a feel for the condition of the grandstand, which definitely needs some work, but no fatal flaws were found in this evaluation. And that's primarily it.
Great.
Finance.
Excellent. WSESU Finance Committee.
We have not met since the last meeting, but the full SU board is meeting this Thursday at 6 o'clock here, I believe, this being the Cusick conference room. And then just talking to Frank, the finance committee, we hope that we'll meet at 5:30 here to, we realized we hadn't reformulated, whatever the word is. Reorganize, that's it. So the three members, Katie and Ann, are you the other two voting members of SU? So yeah, so we'll be here on Thursday. And fairly full agenda besides reorganizing that board and a handful of warrants. And then Act 46, is that a new thing? Yeah, so there's, we're gonna be talking about that, a bunch of policies, something about a Vernon waiver, and that's it.
Great, thank you. Planning and Policy,
Has not met.
Teacher Curriculum Committee,
Has not met.
BAMS Committee, has not met to my knowledge. WRCC,
Has not met.
all right. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's move to administrative reports. Why don't we start with BAMS?
All right, hi everyone. See a few recent highlights. We've changed the way we've done honor roll over the last year or so, and we've had various things from just a thing in the newspaper with very little recognition at school to more of a formal type assembly last year to student leadership taking it over recently and do it this year. And doing the first time they did it at the end of Q1, they did a lunch that was donated by local businesses. So we called all the students, we gave them a special pass. They came into the multi-purpose room and we had special tables set up and they got a really nice lunch. The second time, just the other day, we decided to do, they get their lunch and they brought it down with their pass and then they ate lunch with their peers, got their certificates, and then had dessert donated by local businesses. And it was really successful. The kids really seemed to like it. We honor roll, high honor roll, and also we give out awards for kids who extra effort or improvement in HOW grades, which are habits of work, just something we've been assessing the last couple of years. So it was really successful as student leadership put it all on, and in particular Jessica Montanieri, who's an English teacher on Team Leo, just did an excellent job organizing it all. Really proud of it. We had student-led conferences last week, and 285 families at BAMS, 261 signed up for a conference. So the sign-ups were really outstanding, and teachers did a great job preparing the kids. The kids prepared really well for them. I mean, there's always a mix of quality in their presentations, but generally saw a lot of smiles, and it's just great to see a parent and their parents and their children come in together to the school to go to the conference. And 99% of the time I saw great smiles coming when they left. Actually, I never saw anybody upset when they left, but so really happy with the progress on that. In the fall, we do more of a traditional teacher-led conference, and then in the spring, it's student-led. And that generally focuses around their PLP, their personalized learning plan, although a lot of them did not use that to present. A lot of students created their own little slideshow that they would put together and present to their parents. So kids are really good at recognizing the things that they're doing well and the things they need to work on. It's great to hear them talk to their parents about it. So really happy with that. Thursday night this week we have what's called the exploratory open house, and then piggybacking on it right after an incoming 7th grade parent night. So the exploratory open house is really a special night that essentially the specials teachers, the exploratory teachers, phys ed, health, art, all of those things, they kind of host an evening to showcase their programs. And they put student workout on display, let people come in, check out the classrooms. We invite the incoming 7th grade, current 6th grade, and that it's well attended by them as well. So we have essentially 3 grades there. And then right after that, we'll have an open a parent meeting for incoming 7th grade. So we could just tell them more about the school and what to expect next year, because people are starting to build their kind of questions, and there's always a little anticipation, sometimes some anxiety about what it's going to be like at BAMS. So that will happen then. And we're also, tomorrow morning's our first morning to visit some of the local elementary schools, so we'll start at Vernon tomorrow. Myself and the 2 counselors usually go and just kind of talk to the kids about what to expect and let them ask questions, those kind of things. I've been meeting with students recently about the dress code. This time of year it starts to come up as a topic, and it's been really great to listen to the students' voice, mainly concerns and frustrations about the dress code. Primarily, there's some language in the dress code that they don't like, and the way it's enforced, and the inconsistency of the way it's enforced is challenging for them. And so we had some really great discussions, and then I sent some information out to the staff. We've made some changes based on that input, and I will continue discussing student concerns with them, and really proud of mainly girls who have come and to speak. The first meeting, there was about 20, 25 girls and me, and they were, it was pretty energetic meeting to really express how they feel about some things with it. And the second meeting, I shared with them some of the adjustments that we've made, and that was today, and I felt really good about it. I think they felt like they were listened to. It's not done, but I'm going to continue to meet with them, and trying to, I just feel really positive about that. Last thing, 2 Saturdays ago now, was the Youth Services Bowl-a-thon, and we had a team from BAMS go, and we raised a little over $500, I think, in donations, and it was really nice to have a little team of us pitch in and play, do a little bowling. So that's my fun story. That's all I have. Any questions?
Yeah, what's the language in the dress code that's problematic?
Well, let me, I just gotta find my notes on it. It's not the BU6 policy so much as there's one line in it that they take offense to. There's some stuff specifically for BAMS because it's middle school. There's some language that I took a lot of language out from previous handbooks. Sorry, I gotta find it here. I took a lot of the language out. Let's go to update. But we left some stuff in, particularly around student bras and certain undergarments, and a lot of the issue is around bra straps showing, which is not in the BU6 policy, but specific to BAMS and middle schoolers, and inconsistencies on how that was dealt with by staff. Some people let it go, some people don't. A lot of the kids had an issue with why is there a problem with my bra strap, and I basically agree with them. So at this point, I've taken that piece out, that we're forcing straps around the shoulders as being a violation of the dress code. The piece in the actual policy that students, there's a piece of language. Apparel that draws undue attention to the wearer is the piece that they have issue with, which is essentially, it's talking about, well, their feeling is that's an issue with the other people, it's not an issue with me. That I'm drawing attention, I'm somehow, how do I word it? They're more eloquent on how they word their concern, but essentially that's a you issue, it's not a me issue, if that makes any sense. It's essentially what they're pointing out. So I think it's worthy of a conversation at the policy level to take a look at that language.
As I recall, when we put that language in, we were talking, that phrase was in there to allow for administrative discretion in extreme cases. I think one example was if somebody came to school in a clown suit.
Right. I think that people use it, I think staff sometimes use that kind of language to address it by saying, the way the girls I spoke to take it as, people will essentially say you could be distracting the boys, essentially how they feel because you're clothing. So maybe just some clarification of that statement would be something to
Yeah, 'cause I
look
think
at.
that was the kind of thing we were specifically trying to avoid.
Yeah.
As a point of interest, I take it that way too. It is not incumbent upon these young ladies to police their bodies because the boys will be distracted. It is incumbent upon those boys to learn to live with women they're attracted to.
Yeah. So that's been part of the conversation with them, and they seem to value being listened to, and hopefully I can find, dress code. I told them, and I've said this as staff, there's no perfect answers with a dress code. It's hard to come up with a dress code that meets every need and doesn't have some gray area that makes it challenging at times, so. I don't know what else to say right now, but I'm meeting with them one more time and then I'll figure out any recommendations that I might have, but I suspect they're more at the local level as opposed to the policy level.
Thank you. All right, let's move to the high school.
Sure. I'd like to start off by giving some recognition to math teacher Katie Westby, who, as we speak, is in San Diego presenting to the National Council of Teachers in Mathematics. She'll be doing that all week. Her talk is on using tools of reflection, pedagogy, and creative insubordination to rehumanize math education. It's a really interesting topic, and she really talks about how you can use reflection, and she talks about creative insubordination helping preserve our own self-worth despite any system we may be a part of. And very interesting topic, and I'm sure she's going to do a great job representing BUHS in Vermont. In music, we had 7 BUHS musicians just come back from Woodstock, Vermont, where they rehearsed and performed with honors ensembles in the New England Music Festival. Also, the band is going to have a Skype session on April 3rd with composer David Beidenbender. And it's interesting because they just performed Dr. Beidenbender's work, Melodious Thunk, and they found it to be really interesting and engaging and imaginative. And as a result, Steve reached out to David and asked if he would Skype with the students. He's from Michigan State University, and that's kind of a neat idea that they play the music and then they talk to the composer about the music after they're done. And I applaud Steve Rice for thinking of that and carrying that through. That's an interesting way to approach it. On Friday, we have 18 students, intermediate and advanced French students, leaving for the Swiss exchange. They'll be going to Paris for 4 days, and then they'll be going from Paris to Geneva, Switzerland, where they'll be doing homestays. They'll be doing things like the Louvre, Montmartre, Versailles, and then they'll do a homestay for 6 days in Switzerland, where they'll see the CERN Super Collider, which I'm very jealous. I would love to see that. They'll see the headquarters of the Red Cross, and they'll go to the Office of the United Nations, and so they have a great trip planned. It is our 40th trip, our 40th year doing the exchange with our Swiss folks, and that's a fantastic relationship. That's being led by Suzanne Grenoble of BUHS and Kurt Johnson of BAMS. We had parent conferences last Monday from 3 to 7. For the third time, we used Pick a Time. For the most part, parents received it really well, but as Ann probably knows, there's one parent who felt that they would like to have the portal opened earlier. We open the portal, I think, 4 days before conferences. We open on Wednesday for a Monday conference. The reason we do that is the folks from Pick a Time told us that it was best to not have it open, months in advance, because then you have people who make plans, forget when their appointments are, try to reschedule appointments, and it's more trouble than it's worth. So we have to kind of figure that out. How are we going to balance the need for families that may have plans versus the need for families to commit to a discrete time? By and large, parents appreciate that. It does change the tenor of parent conferences, though they were very well attended this past week, so we're glad about that. Also, last week, on Monday, we had our coffee with the principal, and that was very well attended. We had 14 parents. The topic was school safety. We had Mark Anderson from the William County Sheriff and our resource officer, Tim Vinton, join us. And the conversation ranged from everything from when do we call a lockdown or restricted access to what does the school resource officer do every day. And it was a great discussion. Our next coffee with the principal will most likely be at the end of April, and the topic will be technology use in the classroom. And that will be an interesting conversation. Master scheduling is well in swing. We're actually meeting with all departments. We have preliminary numbers put in for all students, so we're meeting with departments to talk about specific teaching assignments, numbers of sections. That process will go on for the next couple of weeks, and then we'll begin to run copies of the schedule and see what we can get and see how we can schedule students most effectively. And that usually goes through several iterations before we come up with one final iteration. One thing we're going to try to do this year is if we can get the schedules done before the end of school, we were thinking of doing a shortened schedule in the middle of the school day where students grades 9 through 11 will actually run through their schedule for next fall to kind of lay eyes on their teachers, see what they look like, just kind of get a sense of who they're going to be with next fall, and then when we do that again next fall for the spring. We felt it was an important thing to do because especially with new schedules coming out, we thought it'd be a good chance for teachers and students to kind of lay eyes on each other before the end of the year. The hiring process is in full swing as well. Last Friday, I spent most of my day watching sample lessons in English, and we also watch sample lessons in math. We have teachers come in and they teach a lesson for us, and then we rate them afterwards, and then that's our last step of the interview process. Tomorrow I'll be watching 4 English teachers as we're getting close to our English hire. I do have a person to bring forward for math for next year, and I'm going to ask, we had 6 people apply for the math position. We interviewed 3 of those 6, and we would like the board to hire Susan Ann Cole. She comes to us with 14 years of experience. She's replacing Kathleen Perry, who's retiring this year. Ms. Cole comes with extensive experience, most of it in the Holyoke area, and also Virginia. She's looking to relocate to Vermont, and she has accepted our offer. So I would ask the board to hire Susan Ann Cole for math at the UHS.
Motion to accept the recommendation. Math teacher Susan Cole.
Second.
Seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Last but not least, I would like to ask for, if possible, an executive session next Tuesday, if we could, for a student matter, or sometime next week after Tuesday.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to schedule that now or do that later on under new business.
Let's do that under new business, and people can look at their schedules and can see what we can do. Great.
Thank you.
All right.
Just a couple of things. That math teacher presentation seemed very fascinating. I'm wondering if that's something that you might have her come and spend a few minutes going over that with us.
Raquel?
Yeah.
Absolutely. She would be thrilled to do that.
So, I think he means the one that's in.
Oh, Katie Westby. Sure. Yeah, I can ask her if she comes
Yeah,
back.
that seems fascinating. The other thing would be, be nice to hear from students after a trip. Haven't been a while since we've had a post-trip report.
Great.
I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I usually enjoy those.
Absolutely.
Do a lot of slides of the super cloud for you. Okay, great. Career Center.
Sure, a few things going on at the Career Center. I know you've heard me talk about our LNA program for a while. The students just started their clinical work last month at Brattleboro Hospital, the Thompson House, and Vernon Green also. Each student goes to one or the other from 8:45 in the morning till 11:30. And all students have to have at least 40 hours of clinical work, supervised clinical work experience before they're allowed to take the LNA exam. later on in May. that they will be
LNA
eligible.
stands for,
Excuse me,
what does the LNA stand for?
licensed nursing assistant.
There we go, thank you.
Sure. And last time we were here, our FBLA chapter had just left for the state conference and competitions. Proud to report that they returned state champions from Lake Moray. And the students actually gave a presentation to our regional advisory board, which Ann and Woody were present for. So, and they competed in everything from accounting, cybersecurity, personal finance, sports management. So they represented us very well. And also we have a newly formed student organization, CTSO, called HOSA, Health Occupation Student Association for Future Health Professionals, with their advisor Dan Braden. And they also brought students to a combination New Hampshire, Vermont State Leadership Conference and Competition in Hanover, New Hampshire at Dartmouth. And the kids represented our school very proudly, did a great job for us. And we actually had 2 students that qualified in forensic science and are eligible to compete in the nationals also. So first year with that, and they did a great job. And Dan did a great job getting the team organized and together and putting it forward. So. And last Tuesday on the 26th, our regional advisory board met for the Career Center, which Woody and Ann are part of here on this board. And we had student presentations about the construction trip that we talked about earlier, that for Habitat for Humanity, the FBLA conference, and we also went over the Career Center equipment grant, which I mentioned part of it to you earlier. And a new admissions procedure. I'm missing something.
Pictures of the trailer.
Pictures of the trailer, yeah, part of the equipment grant. The new trailer that we got in that will be going from our regional high schools there and elementary schools also to represent our Career Center and show pathways that we had. Trailer that we bought and we just returned. It just came in last Wednesday, where it was vinyl wrapped also. Looks great. If you stick around here during the daytime, take a ride in the back of the tip, you'll see it, or I'll be happy to send you pictures. Maybe I'll do that anyway.
Yeah,
They have that the trailer's in, so. And also, you might have noticed in the reformer a picture of some of the students working with a few people in construction class. Guy Payne from Sion Sustainable Energy Outreach Network, and Nick Stone from RK Miles, a larger building supplier in Manchester, New Hampshire, gave a presentation in the construction class on really moisture-resistant wall systems. So they did a great job on different ways of controlling moisture getting into your house and getting moisture out of your house, and different ways to build the wall systems with the students. So that was great. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Questions at all?
Excellent, thanks so much. Frank, do you have anything from central office?
There was one piece of correspondence that I just noticed, I'll mention it. There's a hearing from the Planning Services Department of Town of Brattleboro regarding the high school's maintenance garage. So it's a permit review hearing on April 15. And I believe Robert Clerk will be joining that. So we expect the project to move forward. And I think that's it. I do have something for you to sign.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then for my report, the only thing that I had is I just wanted to remind everybody about, I think we all know, but tomorrow evening is the next step in the reorganizational meeting in the high school gym at 7. So just postponed from late February when the meeting was tabled at that point. So we're meeting again tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in the high school gym.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
has a revised agenda been published, or we just pick up where we left?
We pick up right where we left off. It was, because the meeting was tabled, there really didn't add things. It was what was the agenda from the February meeting, and it's just we pick up where we left off. And the conversations, and Frank can correct me if I'm wrong, with the conversations that I've been part of, have been basically, we're gonna start like we just took a break.
Yeah,
It just
so
happens to be a 6-week break.
Yeah, it was they call it a recessed with a date certain.
Right.
And because of it's essentially a continuation, so we, as you say, pick up right from the agenda where we had left off.
Okay. So that's tomorrow night. That's it for administrative reports then. Under unfinished business, we have Act 46 discussion. Is there anything that anybody wants to talk about in relation to Act 46?
There is.
Yes.
I think we should consider warning a budget vote because we genuinely don't know what's going to happen. And if we have an approved budget, that could be passed on to a new merged board. But we can spend the money if something happens to interrupt the process. I mean, we have an approved budget. I think we should warn a vote.
If that was a motion, I'll second it.
Okay, it was a motion.
Okay. I think that's prudent and makes sense. I think that, just to remind everybody, especially folks at home, when we approved our budget back in January, it was, it was so far in advance there was no way to know what was going to be happening, and I think we all thought, or we believed, that we would not be in a situation where we needed to have a special vote at this point. Frank, can you help me with statute? How long do we have to warn something like that? Isn't there a...
Yeah, it is that 40 to 30 day window, the standard window, and the state's guidance is still playing on the act as it is in place now.
Sure.
Yeah,
But-
but
Yep.
we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow night.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and there's a bill that's in combined committee now to
Right.
decide how that's going to come out. And heaven only knows what could happen with the lawsuit situation.
Mhm.
Let's get this approved by our voters so the money is there so we can pay for things should anything throw that off course again.
Contingency.
Yeah, it's sort of how Putney Dummerston handled it, just in case.
Mhm.
But we had more information available to us than this board did
That's right.
at the time.
Yeah, at the time when this board approved the budget, there was no lawsuit filed, and there was no bill in either house to consider deferring, so.
Well, the
yeah.
lawsuit had been filed, but yes, nothing had happened,
Right.
so.
So would that require an amendment by the board before we present it? Or can it be presented as it was to us?
Well, I don't think I think what Ann's pointing out is that we're assuming, if I get this right, if we needed to move forward as we currently exist, we need to pass a budget for BUHS number 6. So that's what we need to do, above and beyond anything else.
The budget that we...
The budget we've already
presented.
approved, and there's nothing that we need to amend to that budget, because we've already approved that budget, that we would,
Right.
if things move forward with some sort of consolidation, then that budget would, in theory, just be added to the other budgets to make the consolidated budget. So we wouldn't make any changes to that budget, just presenting it and having it voted on by the voters.
And as I recall, our initial motion to approve it had that proviso
Yeah,
in it. So we're good, we just need to schedule the meeting.
just have to have a meeting.
The other thing about public votes and in meetings that we've discussed, I'll just mention it that you may want to consider, maybe not, but I think last meeting Ricky informed the board about Finance Committee's analysis of synthetic turf and campus improvements, the loss of the Baybeck field, and with a recommendation to propose a vote on that field improvement a project. So that could be another article, as a separate part of a budget vote, because you are talking about a special meeting, and both of those would require the special meeting. You could consider both of those articles. They would be separate articles. Just for consideration.
That's a good idea, yeah.
And then would we need to have the informational meetings again, the 2 informational meetings
Yes.
before
Yes.
the next week?
Mhm. So then the other question that I have is, I know that if things move forward tomorrow night, the town clerks have said when we would need to have the vote for potential new board members, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And there'd be a meeting related to that. And
Yeah.
I can't remember what that date is off the top of my head.
Yeah, and I, you know, obviously it's subject to the electorate
Yeah, tomorrow.
tomorrow night, so it's not necessarily what.
Right, but I just don't want us to, I just want us to plan our special meeting and that be in confliction with another potential
Yeah.
special meeting, you know, because,
Yeah.
I mean,
I would suggest that we consider, if we're going to have a budget vote, that we, you either authorize Ricky to consider those dates after tomorrow night, so we know what the other dates are, and you don't schedule things on the same date, and/or just wait till your next meeting, because your next meeting in April, I assume
Mhm.
we're having another meeting.
Yep.
At that time, you would know what the action was on the meeting for tomorrow night, and you would still be able to warn it either for a May or a June vote.
So that would be the 22nd. Is that?
our next meeting's on the 22nd because of school
Yeah.
vacation, yes.
Yeah, so you could warn it as soon as that third week in May, because that would be the 30-day. And
If,
it could be later than that as well.
is everyone okay with the first thing that Frank said, that if things don't progress tomorrow evening, that I will be in consultation with clerks and things like that to get a set date, and then we can warn it as early as Wednesday for sometime in May to get that done, so that we can get that done if things don't progress tomorrow night, then we can get that done as soon as possible.
I don't think that whether or not things progress tomorrow night makes a difference to our decision.
Right.
It's more dependent on people who are very far away from us right now,
Mhm.
the legislature and the court.
Right.
So I'm just trying to make sure
Yeah.
all bases are covered, because we do have bills to pay and teachers to hire. and-
Very true. But is everybody okay with the concept of after tomorrow evening, I'll work with the clerks in the central office to find a date that works the best as soon as possible, so that we can do that budget, and then we can do our special meeting if it needs to happen, and it can be part of, and we can also have part of the conversation related to the improvements to Nantwich Field and that part of that
I do have
budget.
a question about that. Is the expense for that field gonna hit 2020 budget or 2021 budget? Because if you're gonna tack on another 750,000, it's gonna be a substantial increase in the budget for next year.
Yeah.
So is it gonna be on 2020 or 2021, the turf field?
We had already put it into the capital plan for 2020, and we're talking about only a progress payment, not the whole
Yeah.
cost. So it's just a financing component.
I couldn't remember how long the term was.
Yeah.
100 and some thousand we put in for,
Right.
yeah, is in our budget we've already voted
Okay.
on
Yeah.
as part of our capital improvement plan.
Of a 5-year, at least a 5-year term, yeah. So,
Okay.
you know, approximately 125,000 is in the FY '20 budget for a debt service payment toward that project.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so technically we have a motion and a second. And we can call Frank's suggestion a friendly amendment to your motion, does that work? All right, does anybody else have anything else they want to talk about related to that? Yeah.
Just to clarify exactly what we're voting on right now.
Is it necessary?
My understanding is that the motion on the table is that we will schedule a special meeting to approve the budget that we have already approved at a date to be determined by Ricky after consultation with the town clerks.
Yes.
Yes.
But, I mean, it's to consider the budget plus the possible amendment of the town.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
Which
the
is,
budget.
which is part of the budget. And my thought process on this too is that if that goes forward and we can warn it as early as sometime this week, our next meeting in April could be the first public meeting about that, and then we could do, the first meeting in May could be the second public discussion related to that, so that, again, moves that ball as soon as possible, so that we're not pushing things right to the end. All right, so we have a motion, a second, everybody clear? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Okay, great. All right, under new business, there's a VSBA Code of Ethics action needed. Does Frank have-
Lyle was suggesting that we wait, knowing that Sean was not
Okay,
present, so she had recommended that, but that's your decision.
okay. Yeah, I mean, we don't have that right here, so we can table that to the next meeting then. If we don't have to do anything tonight, we're fine.
No requirement tonight.
Okay, great. All right. Is there anything else? Under new business was a special executive session for the high school in relation to
Student matter.
a student matter, and you want it for sometime after Tuesday next week.
It could be Tuesday, it could be the 9th. The family is not available until they're available the 9th, so we could do the 9th, if that works.
And what time of day are you thinking?
I do early evening to accommodate work schedules. Yeah, whatever would work for work schedules.
Does anybody
I have
have?
I'm not available until after 7 on Tuesday.
That would probably be the same for me as well.
And I have a meeting, another meeting at 7 o'clock on Tuesday.
All right. How about Wednesday?
I am out of town Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
Although, no, Wednesday and Thursday I'm not available.
All right. So that moves us. If we don't do Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday next week, then we're looking at the week after, which is vacation week, and that's problematic.
That's problematic, yes.
And we need to do this, I'm assuming, sooner rather than later.
So I'm the only one that's not available on Wednesday and Thursday, you have, no. That's okay.
Or 7 o'clock on Tuesday, and then Bob wouldn't be available.
Well, how long is your other meeting? Is it something
Well,
brief that we could do after?
Well, it's probably, one thing is it's being hosted at my house, so. Another organization, so I can't leave early.
Executive session.
We can have our
Probably
school
an
board
hour.
meeting.
Let's do the executive session at Bob's house.
You're absolutely welcome to do that.
I mean, we could also go earlier if we need to.
Okay.
That I could, but not before 5:30.
Right.
Yeah. How about, I'm just gonna throw this out there, how about if we did, sorry Katie, we do 5:30 on Wednesday? Does that work?
I wouldn't be here that.
Okay.
I have a class that runs till 5:15, so I couldn't be here until 6:30 or 7.
And I have a 7 o'clock that night, so.
Is-
Was Friday a possibility?
In theory, it is,
In theory,
yeah.
Because we skipped over that day and going through the week.
Yeah, we did, we did, because we tend not to do meetings on Fridays, but how do people look on Friday early evening?
Talking the 12th or the 5th?
The 12th?
I'm fine. It'd be really funny if I wasn't.
That would be fun if it was.
it would be probably 6 o'clock for me.
Yeah. Does 6 o'clock on Friday work for everybody?
I think so.
Friday the 12th is 6 o'clock?
Sure.
Does that work, Steve?
Sure.
Okay. All right,
And is that happening here?
We'll probably use the counseling conference room in the high school. It's the only item on the agenda, so.
right,
We
and
did
basically.
the college
we'll-
resource room in the
Yeah.
counseling office.
So just,
Where?
6 p.m.?
so go in this main door of the high school,
Main door of the high school,
And go down the-
administrative hallway.
administrative hall.
We'll get you there from there.
And
So-
then all we'll have to do is open the meeting and then go immediately to an executive session, so
Was that 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock on the 12th.
Okay.
All right. Okay,
I'm fine.
anything else for new business? All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there being no further business before this board, I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. All right, we are adjourned. See everybody in 3 weeks.